Hi there, it's Sarah White from Our Daily Craft, and I've been working on this sweater. It's the Ursa by Jacqueline C. Slack, and I'm working it on size 11 needles, so that's kind of a large needle, and I realized as I was doing it, it requires rather a lot of stitch markers because it has these little pattern sections and there are raglans and lots of shaping in the beginning. And I realized as I was starting to work on it that while I have a whole lot of stitch markers, one, you can never find the stitch markers you need when you need them correct. That's like the Murphy's Law of knitting. But also that I just have a lot of different stitch markers that don't actually fit on larger needles. So like I've got all of these that are cute, you know, some beaded ones, some purchased little plasticky ones, but they don't fit on a needle that's this big. So this one kind of fits, that one's okay, but like these, they're just made for smaller needles. So one thing that you can do, and you can see that I've done here, is that you can make your own stitch markers just out of yarn. And what I did here is actually not the best because I used this yarn that was handy. It's why I did it. I didn't want to get up from where I was knitting to find a better yarn to make my stitch markers out of. This is not the best just because it's, you know, sort of loosely twisted. It's a little fuzzy. It'd be really easy to like knit through this or have it get sort of raggedy on your needles. To me, really the best choice is going to be a cotton or a wool or even an acrylic that's pretty nicely spun. Light in color is good just because you don't want any dye to be rubbing off on your project while you're knitting. You know, like a worsted weight is probably a good size for this sort of a use. And so this is, I think this is probably like Cascade 220. I don't even know what it is. It was just the first likely yarn I pulled off of my shelf when I wanted to show you how to do this. So you don't want them to be huge, but of course since we're making it for a big needle, we do want to make sure that it's going to be big enough so that it fits along the needle and also so it's loose to slide through quickly and easily. So I'm going to just go ahead and use my needle as the guide here, which I didn't on those, I just eyeballed them. And so I've made a knot, and then I'm going to take the tail over the yarn that's attached to the ball still, and I'm going to tie that tight. So you've just got a loop with a knot, and then I'm just going to trim that a little. So again, so the tails aren't getting, like you're not knitting over the tails or anything. And so there you have a little stitch marker made out of yarn. And of course you can reuse these infinitely, just like you could a purchased stitch marker. It's a great use for those little tiny bits, like if you've got yarn tails left over from weaving in ends. This is a great use for those little bits of yarn that you don't know what to do with, and it's an easy way to make when you need like a lot of stitch markers for a project, whether it's on a large needle or not. Just if you are suffering from that, not being able to find enough stitch markers in your household for the project that you're working on, this is a great substitute for purchased stitch markers. So I hope you'll give it a try.